Let's be honest, in business, it can feel like you're in a constant, never-ending fight. You're battling competitors, you're haggling over prices, you're just struggling for a tiny slice of a pie that seems to get smaller every year. It is exhausting. But what if there was another way? A strategy that lets you make all that competition completely irrelevant? Well, that's the core idea we're diving into today.
See, most of us, whether we realize it or not, are operating in what the experts call a red ocean. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a crowded, bloody marketplace where company after company tears each other apart just to win a slightly bigger share of the customers that already exist. The water gets bloody from all the fighting, hence the name. So let's break this down. On the left, you've got that classic red ocean strategy. It's all about outperforming your rivals, right? You basically accept the rules of the industry as they are, and you just try to win the game. But the blue ocean strategy, over on the right, that's about changing the game completely. It's not about trying to beat the competition, it's about making them totally irrelevant because you've created a whole new market space for yourself.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem with the red ocean way of thinking. This whole goal of constantly, endlessly outperforming everyone else, it's kind of a myth. I mean, even the legendary companies that were praised in famous business books like In Search of Excellence or Built to Last, a lot of them eventually stumbled. It just goes to show that trying to win a head-to-head fight forever is probably a flawed goal from the very start.
Okay, so if the red ocean is a trap, what's the alternative? Well, it's about setting sail for the blue ocean.
Blue oceans represent all of that massive, untapped potential just waiting out there. And to be really clear, we're not just talking about finding some tiny little niche. We're talking about creating entire industries that don't even exist yet. You know, places where the rules haven't been written, and you get to create demand from scratch instead of fighting over it.
And listen, this isn't just some nice theory. It's a historical fact. Just think about this for a second. Back in 1997, the U.S. Census literally had to double its number of industry sectors from 10 to 20. Why? Just to account for all the brand new industries that had been created. It turns out our ability to build new markets is way bigger than we usually think.
But how do you actually do this? It's not about just adding more features or a new coat of paint. It's about fundamentally rethinking and reconstructing the value you offer. Let's look at one of the most famous, most powerful examples of all time.
So Cirque du Soleil, they didn't try to build a better circus. They didn't go out and hire more famous clowns or find more exotic animals to try and one-up Ringling Brothers. No way. Instead, they created something completely new, this amazing hybrid of circus and theater that appealed to a totally different audience.
So how did they pull it off? They used this incredibly powerful tool called the 4 Actions Framework, which you can see right here. It's brilliant because it forces you to challenge every single assumption you have about your industry by asking 4 key questions about all the things everyone normally competes on.
The very first question is, which factors that our industry has competed on for ages should be eliminated entirely? This one takes some guts. It's about courageously cutting things that customers don't really value anymore, but that add a ton of cost. And Cirque du Soleil made some radical cuts. They got rid of those super expensive star performers. I mean, how can a circus really compete with movie stars for fame? They eliminated the animal shows, which were not only getting crazy expensive, but were also becoming a real source of public concern. They even cut stuff like aisle concessions and that chaotic, distracting 3-ring format.
Okay, next up, which factors should be reduced well below the industry standard? So these are things you can't totally get rid of, but maybe they're way over-engineered or just overemphasized.
Cirque still kept some of those classic circus thrills, but they dialed them way back. The acrobatics were still there, of course, but they became more artistic and elegant rather than just being about pure danger. And they toned down that silly slapstick clown humor and aimed for something a little more sophisticated and subtle. Now, the third question is the flip side. Which factors should be raised well above the industry standard? Where can you invest your resources to create a truly exceptional experience that literally no one else is offering?
This is where Cirque really doubled down. They took the classic circus tent and glamorized it, making it feel magical instead of like some cheap venue. They focused on comfort, getting rid of those awful hard benches, and they injected this level of artistry, music, and intellectual wonder that was just completely unheard of in the circus world.
And finally, the most important question of all. Which factors should be created that the industry has never offered? This is where the real magic happens. This is how a new market is born. So Cirque started creating things they borrowed from the world of theater. Every single show had its own theme, a storyline, original music, and beautiful dance choreography. This created a refined, almost Broadway-like experience that suddenly attracted adults, people who would never in a million years have considered going to a traditional circus. They didn't just capture a market, they created one.
Okay, so the Circus LA story shows us how to reconstruct value. But where do you even start looking for these kinds of opportunities? Well, here's the big insight. The answer almost always lies outside of your current customer base.
No, really. Think about it for a second. We spend so much time, money, and energy analyzing our existing customers, right? But what about all the people who could be using your product or service, but for some reason they aren't? Why not? Understanding them is where the biggest, bluest oceans are usually hiding. Your current customers? They're really just the tip of the iceberg. See, beneath the surface, there are these three massive tiers of non-customers. You've got the soon-to-bes, who are right on the edge of your market and about to leave. Then there are the refusers, who have consciously decided to reject what your industry offers. And finally, you have the unexplored in totally different markets who've never even considered you. Pret a Manger is such a perfect example of targeting those Tier 1 non-customers. What was so brilliant about their strategy is that they ignored existing restaurant goers. Instead, they focused on busy city workers who were just about to give up and start bringing a brown bag lunch from home because absolutely no one was offering a lunch that was fast, fresh, healthy, and affordable. By solving that problem for people the industry was about to lose, Pret unlocked a gigantic new market.
When you really boil it all down, this isn't just about a one-time strategic move. It's about a fundamental, deep-down shift in how you see the entire world of business.
The entire mindset comes down to this simple but powerful idea. Instead of obsessing over how to beat your rivals, focus all your energy on creating such a huge leap in value for people that your rivals just become irrelevant. Stop looking at the competition. Start looking at the non-customers. It's that simple. Don't compete, create.
And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. What's the circus in your industry? You know, what are those long-held assumptions, the animal shows, the star performers, the three-ring venues, that everyone just accepts as the way we do things around here? Because that, right there, is probably where your blue ocean is waiting.